A false alternative is stifling thought in metaethics. Whereas normative ethics, or morality, addresses the question, which values and principles should guide our choices and actions, metaethics addresses a more fundamental question. What is the ultimate source of moral values and principles, and how do we know it? In today's academic circles and among popular philosophers, metaethical theories typically are classified under two general categories: realism and anti-realism. Moral realism captures theories claiming that moral values and principles exist as real things or properties, meaning facts, independent of people's interests, goals, or desires. Such facts are often said to be stance independent, or mind independent, or desire independent, that is, unrelated to human perspectives, ideas, or aims. Examples in this category include Plato's theory, according to which the ultimate source of moral truth is the realm of forms, known only by philosophers through mathematical study and higher reasoning, and that you should defer to the wisdom of those who know the moral truth, namely the philosopher kings. This category includes religious theories to the effect that the ultimate source of moral truth is God's will, which is known by revelation or faith, and that you must obey God's commands because his will is the moral law. This category also includes Immanuel Kant's theory, according to which the ultimate source of moral truth is what Kant called the moral law within, which is known by reason apart from experience, and which commands you to act solely from respect for the moral law itself, and not at all for the purpose of sustaining life or pursuing happiness. And finally, this category includes ethical intuitionism and moral sense theories, which hold that the basic moral truths are self-evident facts known through intuitive seemings, and that you should act in accordance with whatever seems right. Moral anti-realism, in contrast, captures theories claiming that moral values and principles are not facts independent of human consciousness, but rather wholly fabrications of human consciousness, whether assertions, feelings, conventions, falsehoods, or even emotional outbursts. Examples here include personal subjectivism, the notion that right and wrong stem solely from the mind of the individual, and that they are merely matters of personal preference or desire. Whatever I think or feel is right for me, and I know this because I think or feel it. Cultural relativism, the idea that right and wrong are matters of group opinion or consensus. Whatever a given culture regards as moral is moral for that culture. They know this because they agree on it. It includes error theory. This is an odd one, but error theory is the idea that there are no moral truths because all moral claims are false, as demonstrated by the fact that no one ever has shown how a moral claim can be true. And finally, in this school is a metaethical theory known as non-cognitivism. And this is the idea that there are neither moral truths nor moral falsehoods, because moral claims and judgments don't rise to the level of having truth value. Ultimately, they're nothing more than commands, like be fair or don't lie, or expressions of approval or disapproval, for instance, hooray or boo. Advocates of this theory claim that it's true by virtue of the fact that no one has shown how a moral claim can be either true or false. That, in a nutshell, is the lay of the metaland, if you will. But this popular way of classifying metaethical theories as either realist or anti-realist fails to account for a theory holding that moral values and principles arise from a synthesis of knowledge, goals, desires, and mind-independent facts. In other words, it fails to capture the metaethics of objectivity. Objectivity in metaethics, as Ayn Rand observed, involves the conceptual integration of certain facts of reality, including human nature and the requirements of human life and happiness, which can be discovered, verified, and codified by means of reason. Moral values and principles, in this view, are neither aspects of reality apart from human consciousness, nor creations of human consciousness apart from reality. Rather, they are mental integrations or conceptualizations of the factual requirements of our life and happiness, given the kinds of beings we are. For instance, our faculty of reason, which operates by means of perceptual observation and conceptual integration and the laws of logic, is objectively of value because it is our means of knowledge and thus our basic means of living. A corresponding principle is that if we want to live, we should act on our rational judgment. Likewise, our emotions, our experiences of joy, sorrow, pride, and the like, are objectively values because such experiences are crucial to our life and happiness. Life wouldn't be worth living without them. A corresponding principle here is that we should treat our emotions as what they are, automatic reactions to our thoughts or experiences in relation to our values, and we should never treat them as our means of knowledge, which they are not. Similarly, food, clothing, shelter, purpose, self-esteem, friendship, romantic love, individual rights, political freedom, and many other things are values because they too are factual requirements of human life and happiness. The corresponding principles are that if we want to survive and thrive, we should act accordingly. We should be productive, choose life-serving goals, cultivate integrity, judge people rationally and treat them accordingly, respect individual rights, trade value for value voluntarily when we want things from others, advocate liberty, and so forth. All such values are kinds of facts, facts in relation to the requirements of human life. That which supports or furthers our life, given the kinds of beings we are, is the good. That which harms or destroys it is the bad or evil. This is the meta-ethics of objectivity. And because neither moral realism nor moral anti-realism captures it, we need a third category that does: moral objectivism. As Ayn Rand elaborated in her essay, The Objectivist Ethics, this meta-ethical view holds that the ultimate source of moral values and principles is the same fact that gives rise to our need of values and principles in the first place: the fact that we are alive and that if we want to live, we must act in certain ways and not in others. Although some philosophers try to define moral realism so loosely as to include theories holding that the correct metaethics involves a relationship between independent facts and human purposes, this actually causes a fallacious package deal and much confusion. Theories that are unrelated to human aims are fundamentally different from those that are derived from and in service of human aims. Likewise, some philosophers try to define moral anti-realism so broadly as to include any and all theories other than realism, but this too creates a package deal and causes confusion. Theories that deny any objective foundation for morality are fundamentally different from those that affirm and purport to explain such a foundation. To unify the schools of thought that are essentially the same and separate those that are essentially different, we need categories that recognize the relevant similarities and differences. We need not two, but three basic metaethical categories: realism, anti-realism, and objectivism. Or, to use Rand's more precise terms, intrinsicism, subjectivism, and objectivism. Quoting Rand, "The intrinsic theory holds that the good is inherent in certain things or actions as such, regardless of their context and consequences, regardless of any benefit or injury they may cause to the actors and subjects involved. It is a theory that divorces the concept of good from beneficiaries and the concept of value from valuer and purpose, claiming that the good is good in, by, and of itself. The subjectivist theory holds that the good bears no relation to the facts of reality, that it is the product of a man's consciousness created by his feelings, desires, intuitions, or whims, and that it is merely an arbitrary postulate or an emotional commitment. The intrinsic theory holds that the good resides in some sort of reality independent of man's consciousness. The subjectivist theory holds that the good resides in man's consciousness independent of reality." Close quote. The objective theory, by contrast, holds that the good is neither independent of man's consciousness nor independent of reality, but an evaluation of the facts of reality by man's consciousness according to a rational standard of value. That standard in this view is human life, the fundamental fact that makes morality and values both possible and necessary. People can reasonably debate whether the terminology of realism, anti-realism, and objectivism is better than that of intrinsicism, subjectivism, and objectivism. But in order for meta-ethical categories to capture the essential similarities and differences among various theories, we need 3 categories, not merely 2. When we think about meta-ethics or discuss the subject with others, we should look out for the assumption that the only options are realism or anti-realism. That is a false alternative. It causes much confusion, and it obscures the meta-ethics of life.